It's what you all been waiting for, ain't it? What people pay paper for, damn it.
On September 11th, 2007, two rappers, engaged in the most talked-about hip-hop beef in the world, squared off. Unlike most famous hip-hop feuds before, this one wasn't to be settled with words or weapons, but by sales figures. On one side was industry powerhouse 50 Cent, who'd already released two of the best-selling rap albums of the decade. Underdog Kanye West, on the other hand, had Grammys and a growing fan base, but he also frequently clashed with rap's aesthetic standards. Lately, he'd been raising eyebrows with a new look and a recent mixtape that seemed more indebted to indie rock and electro than traditional hip-hop. In the end, it wasn't even close. 50's album Curtis sold 691,000 copies in its first week. Kanye's Graduation sold nearly 1 million. Graduation was a much more daring album than Kanye's previous two, where he'd made the transition from successful producer to bankable star. Its songs are built for much different sounds than the dusty, pitched-up hyper-soul that he'd built his career on, and drawn from much different sources. Champion samples 70s yacht rock legend Steely Dan.
Did you realize that you were a champion in their eyes? Yes, I did.
Drunken Hot Girl samples 70s krautrock legends Can.
We go through too much bullshit just to mess with these drunken hot girls.
And while Kanye wasn't the first rapper to go in over a Daft Punk song, he did it bigger and better than anyone else. On top of becoming Kanye's third #1 hit, Stronger was an early example of the obsessive perfectionism that would become one of the defining characteristics of Kanye's post-graduation work. The mix alone took 8 audio engineers, 11 mix engineers, and 75 different versions before he settled on the final one.
That don't kill me, can only make me stronger. I need you to hurry up now, 'cause I can't wait much longer.
Stronger helped prime the pop mainstream for the EDM explosion that followed soon after. But Kanye was also exploring his growing interest in electronic music in subtler ways. By combining a slowed-down Chicago house beat and icy keyboards on flashing lights, he created a new soulful style of synth-pop whose influence would reverberate wider in coming years through artists ranging from Kid Cudi to Lorde. Kanye's vision for Graduation differed from the hip-hop mainstream in terms of scope as well as style. After rappers from the Bling era brought the genre from the streets back into the club, Kanye looked to scale it up to arena size. Tracks like I Wonder and the Chris Martin featuring Homecoming were specifically designed to replicate the epic energy he'd seen U2 create night after night while he opened for them on tour.
Do you think about me now and then? Yeah. Do you think about me now and then? 'Cause I'm coming home again.
Even the album's more straightforward rap cuts, like Can't Tell Me Nothing, had a sense of magnitude that his earlier work barely hinted at. With its confrontational edge and hint of media paranoia, Can't Tell Me Nothing also predicted some of the darker themes his music would take on after he reached a higher level of fame. Graduation represented a turning point for Kanye's career, establishing him not only as a next-level creative force, but as a full-blown superstar who could fill arenas with his glow-in-the-dark tour the following year. Ultimately, it also represented a turning point for hip-hop as a whole. It proved that the radio-friendly gangster formula that 50 Cent rode to multi-platinum success had already peaked, and in the years to come, Kanye's eccentric style would become the new norm.
I was doing Stronger for 3 months. I'm not just doing it for 1 week and going off and smoking some weed and going to the club and partying. I'm delivering product on a whole new level. I'm like a machine. I'm a robot. You cannot offend a robot.